All right, hi guys. So today I thought I'd explore this set of rules. This is kind of a dive into some wargaming history. Uh, this is a set of rules that the guys in my club have played, um, and most of them have been wargaming since the 1970s, and in some cases since the late 1960s for the very oldest members. Uh, this is the set of rules they said they played, and they played them apparently for years, but have no desire to ever go back to them. They said that they didn't care for them. One of the guys said that they were written by a lawyer and they play that way, which is, I think, to say they're very kind of legalistic, perhaps, and kind of exacting. Um, but I've been looking for a PDF of these or scan to go through them just to show them off on the channel and talk about them. Um, I'm not the biggest Napoleonic gamer myself, but I think this is an interesting kind of view into how rules were written and presented in the past. Now, the archive site I found them on, called deepfriedhappymice.com, has three versions. So this is version 2 of the game, and then there are two others that they have on the site. This is the column line and square battle manual, and then there's a third version from, this is from, let's see, is there a date on this? But, well, this looks like much later, just based on the font, so it's like Times New Roman font, so I assume this is at least from the 1990s, as it looks like it's done in a word processor. So we'll start with these because this is, I think, the oldest version. As you can see, obviously, it's done on like a typewriter, or some kind of mimeograph type of thing. Um, Introduction: the 30mm Midwestern Napoleonic Wargamers Confederation present their rules, column, line, and square. We hope that they will prove to be a worthwhile and useful contribution to the hobby of wargaming. Unlike most previously published rules, these rules are not general in scope. They are designed to apply only to European wars fought during the period 1808 to 1815. These rules are more detailed than is usual. This is because we have hoped to achieve a historical realism in their application and effect on the war game table. Certain types of troops historically had certain capabilities or were normally employed in a certain manner. It has seemed to us that the rules should provide for such unique capabilities and employment on the war game table. To the best of our combined knowledge, such is the case here. Also, we hope that these rules have been sufficiently detailed to provide uniformity, which will allow wargamers from different localities to meet and fight Napoleonic games, combine armies under a common set of rules. To achieve this uniformity, we have appended these rules tables of organization and suggested a stay-inside list. Adherence to this system of rules and organization of forces is historically accurate and convenient and will provide a sound basis for combined war games. Column, line, square basically provides for a simultaneous move game. Since we feel that the simultaneous move game is the more appropriate and interesting method of conducting a Napoleonic war game, we present these rules with the hope that they will prove as useful and enjoyable as they have to us. And now to arms, quadruple exclamation mark. And then go on with the preface here. It seems like, and then gives kind of, and from what I need to talk to the guys in the club again longer about this because I'm curious. Because I said, because I think they told me that this was like an effort to have like a kind of larger club in the Midwest. I don't know how successful that was. I think they told me that the current club is kind of like split off from a larger one that existed before, something like that. But uh, and then interesting. But anyway, interestingly, these rules are at best an elaborate guide. They will not, themselves guarantee a successful game or a pleasurable experience. Only you and your opponents can do that. And that light, let me reiterate tomorrow. So it's pretty old, but it has the kind of caveat of, there's probably going to be things that will come up, and you need to kind of adjudicate them and show good sportsmanship. Um, which I think, it's probably true of most world rules. But this is where I think I can see why they were not maybe the most playable, based on the table of contents. So we have, the table of contents is pretty clear, but we have pretty detailed rules for movement. I think it's well laid out, but that's what I was trying to say. The table of contents, artillery, all your rules that you would expect for kind of Napoleonic horse and musket type warfare, infantry and cavalry, artillery, command, general fire rules, direction of fire, small arms fire, artillery fire. They're pretty in depth, as you may be able to tell. So this is the movement sheet. So I guess, all right, well, I guess it's only actually 60 pages of rules, but maybe for some reason the PDF is like it was over 100. Interesting. So, marking of maps, column, line, and square is basically simultaneous with the game. Each player's intentions are written down on a map before each turn, and these intentions must be followed as fairly accurately as possible. A few conditional calls are permitted. These are carefully explained elsewhere in the rules. The map of the playing area should be as accurate as possible, though perfection is not required. Interesting. So I guess that this, my reading comprehension, fooled myself with my reading comprehension. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. Marking of maps, movement of horse artillery, artillery fire, movement of horse artillery, general movement and other operations including fire and charge, fire and fall back, sapper charges explode, small arms fire and held canister fire melee, which melee is carried out to the first breakthrough, small arms fire and held canister fire units by melee or P9 and 10 until no further melee or fire is possible underground. So, yes, I guess playing, you would have to have a paper map and mark it. Should be emphasized that skill and quick and accurate map marking will make the wargame played with these rules much more enjoyable. It is a courtesy to those you play with and will benefit yourself to acquire the skill. Chess may go slowly between moves, but column, line, and square should be a game which goes rapidly between moves, which takes time only in the enjoyable process of actually fighting the battle. Sloppy map marking will produce more battles off the game more than on it. So it's an interesting choice. I can kind of understand why to kind of capture some of that maybe Napoleonic atmosphere, but I find, maybe now I would find that this would end up taking more time. That you would have to sit and like mark a paper map and then do your orders guess maybe that the idea is that you have to commit to your move. You know, you can't like take it back. But I think you know you could handle that with a referee or something. Anyway, I mean this is me editorializing. We're just going through this to look at kind of what the rules were like back then, because I would imagine that, and I think the guys at the club said this, that this was one of the very few kind of Napoleonic rules that were out there back then, or that they knew of at least. There may have been more. Um, so it does have a point system, which is interesting. Suggested game setup: a maximum of 50 troops on a side per side. Let me zoom this in, that would probably be better. Host may set troop ratios and speed of entry. So we do have a referee or game master running the game, which I think is, I mean, we still have that in historical gaming today, so it's not that really that different. But I think it is interesting that the rules presume, you probably have some kind of referee available. Weather, this I think is actually pretty cool. I'm a big fan of trying to implement weather into historical games because it is extremely important in military history. Definitely has had an impact. Uh, so I may actually, I may want to steal this from my games. Maybe you do too. Okay, cast one die. A cast of 1 to 2 means the wind is coming from the north, 3 to 4 is coming from the west, 5 from the south, 6 to the east. From a smoky fire, smoke cotton will drift 12 inches long and stay in place 3 full turns. In the case of gunfire, artillery fire, of course, the gun smoke cotton stays in place until after the end of next turn. Visibility through any smoke is nil, but the principle of instantaneous universal observation must be remembered, i.e., if any enemy unit is visible by any friendly unit, is visible to all. Defenders always get to fire before melee. After nightfall, these rules are superseded by night rules. Forced fires are possible. Sighting distance, okay. Before each turn, the host will cast one die. If it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, weather is perfect. If a 6, it starts raining. It continues to rain until the second 6 is cast. During the rain, muskets, rifles, etc., except in a roofed construction, will not fire. Artillery fire is not impeded by the rain. After the rain, the weather is as soft ground number 6 plus all water is impassable until the third and 6 is cast. Thereafter, all restrictions are lifted. So I think this is a very interesting system, but I can see where it could get kind of complicated. I think you really have to have a referee or a GM that's really knows the rules to handle all this, because this is just for the weather, but we haven't even looked at the other kind of systems in the game. And we have fog, we have soft ground, night rules, which you probably wouldn't have to use these necessarily. How to get lost, miscellaneous. So here are all the infantry maneuvers. I don't know if we will be able to go through everything in this video. I don't want to make this like a 2 hours of me just reading this out loud. But here we have more. I mean, they are very detailed, so I can see why people like these or like them back then. I mean, maybe there's still people that play this game. I don't know. Could be. Firing. So it does specify specific kind of angles for that. I mean, I guess it's not that complicated, but it's. I could see as I read through this, I can see where you would have issues with adjudicating things in this game. Although I have to say these diagrams are very nice. They're nicely laid out, not too pretty clear, just nice black and white line drawings. During the move portion, okay, so this is an interesting bit. During the move portion of the turn, after the maps are marked, all movement is theoretically completed, even though not a single figure on the board has been physically moved. Umpires, if any, must judge actions and movement on the map marking. Map markings take precedence over board physical movement. An incorrect board move must be changed to conform with the map marking. It remains only to actually compare maps. This may be impossible due to secret information on maps, but a player can be referred to his map to make sure his board move corresponded to it, and the move units to where they were ordered by their commander. Okay, so this is another interesting feature of these rules. I'm wondering if these guys I know that played this actually did all the map marking. So here we have an example of play, an example of simultaneity with primary attacks, CIC encounters, CIC, see the following. Infantry attack column charge, CIC 3, infantry line stands, and it shows this other maneuver here where they kind of angle this. So there's other rules, field or different artillery, supply wagons, assault boats. So far, I mean, these rules are not that difficult, I think, to understand each section, but when taken as a whole, there's a ton of moving parts here, and there's I think I can see why some rule sets now make choices with abstracting certain things. Plus, I think as a historian of not quite this period, but kind of this sort of warfare, kind of horse and musket warfare, it's kind of doing rules based on very ideal formational movements and that sort of thing, which is understandable. It's a game after all, but these very exacting movements of it has to be this angle. It's kind of hard to see a real army always behaving like this. But again, it's the issue of the way it really happened and trying to make it into a playable kind of game. So let's see. starting to kind of get lost in this. Okay, now that was just movement. So that was, now we're on page 25. Now we're on fire. The fire rules. But let's jump ahead because the PDF is 131 pages. Okay, here's the chart stick. How to do a measure. This is a nice. I like this. It has how to you know make the measuring device. Cover instructions. Okay, because the table of contents only goes up to page 60. So what in this PDF? What comes after? Gorillas. These are some kind of here we go, addendum. Okay, so this is addendum. The following rules go into effect after January 1st, 1959 for all games. So they had pretty ambitious plans, of how successful. Well, I think these were successful rules actually for their time. So if they had these rules back in 1959, I wonder when the originals were made, maybe back in the 50s, 1950s. Oh, I see. So these are errata, some other optional rules. And then the second part is the organizational section. I see. And there's some information for basing. There's been a dearth of information on the company, battalion, and regimental organizations in Napoleonic armies circa 1812, especially in Eastern European countries. The information that's available is frequently not available in the English language and is quite often only found in rare books. The following information took 9 months to compile. The trail led from Fort Wayne, Indiana, to finally Vienna, Austria, for the last item of information. So, well, these gamers were definitely willing to go the distance, and I think that's very admirable. That's kind of what I'm trying to do with this channel. Anyway, the organization is set up for wargaming army of 30mm castings. One figure equals 20 men. Historical muster to get the actual appropriate muster by each figure by 20. One must remember that although the paper organization of Napoleonic armies was fixed, the actual number of men per unit in the field was radically different. Okay. In the American Midwest, over 8,000 Napoleonic 30mm castings are now organized using the system. To the best of our knowledge, such detailed organizational information has never been compiled into one publication for all major armies participating in the Napoleonic Wars. And then there's a name, Fred H. Vietmeyer, and that's where he lived, in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Interesting. So, yeah, I would imagine that at this time it probably was very limited information. And I wonder what, I wonder where the figures came from back then. I'm sure some of you guys in comments would know. Yeah, so if you know, put it in the comments. So I can also see just from the way certain things are written why they would want to revise it, just like explaining go back to just like the part where they're explaining like the ratio of miniatures to real men. I can see why that kind of is a little overly long, maybe, in terms of a rule book. Here's how to set up your stands. Oh, wait, let's see if we can. Can I rotate this? Here we go. Yeah, okay. Napoleonic Organization 1812. You know, I have to say, considering this was done, you know, pre-computer with, you know, like a kind of typewritten form, these charts are pretty clear, I would say. You know, I don't really have a hard time reading these or understanding what they're kind of getting across. Yeah. And then I think for this video, I'm not going to go through all of the other the subsequent rules. But here we have the battle manual. This is from 1973. And now this is page, and I assume this is, yeah, paragraph probably. So they've, I guess, tried to make make it a little, break it down a little bit more. And then we have appendices. And then now this is a 170 page PDF, again, all typewritten or mimeographed, I guess. And what do we have? And then I see, and then these I think are the different unit types, different units, that sort of thing. Unit capabilities. Cossacks, nice. Yeah, this one I can see is pretty a lot. Again, just a lot going on in these rules that I would imagine could get difficult even with a you know, a referee to adjudicate things and all that. So here we have table layout, table size. Yeah, extremely in depth, where we have not just the width and length of the table, but also the height. Table height assumes that the players are standing during play a height of 32 or 33 inches. It's comfortable for most people. Well, you know, I mean, I guess I shouldn't laugh because probably this was like kind of the early days of American wargaming, at least in its modern form. So I would imagine, yeah, you would need probably a lot of information on how, you know, how exactly to set the table up and all that. So this is the victory stuff in this version of the rules. Appendix, summary sheets. Some modifications. Oh, that's good. That is. Wow. Yeah, so this is a lot. And then finally, I'm not going to look at the third one in great detail. Maybe I'll come back to this. But this one is much shorter, 42 pages. Well, 30, really 36 pages of rules. Um, and I'll just go through in this one and look at the introduction. Introduction to who are we, what is this, and why? For the children among us, column, line, and square is a classic set of tactical level Napoleonic rules. Now more than 40 years old, it was the first war game to insist that troops be based according to their historical organization. One of the first to suggest that different nationalities have different tactical styles and that this should be reflected in the rules. In its heyday, it was a simple, fast-moving game with reasonable historical accuracy. Alas, it hasn't been available in print for 20 years or more. Well, I should have started with this one because this gives kind of the history of these rules. So why not just reprint it? First, column, line, and square was a victim of technology in those pre-word processor days when corrected, clarified, or amplified points by adding additional pages. By the late 1970s, our clear, simple rules took up in excess of 100 badly organized pages. Aha, so this is what the guys in the club were talking about, and as we can see in the other ones. Placed in order and retyped in 1979, it was still in the low 60s. Clearly these rules go on to be diet. Second, those of us in the column, line, and square 3 gang, each of a minimum of 30 years experience with the rules, and we'd like to think we've learned something. The changes are primarily of 3 types. First, we try to focus the game a little. CLS player should be running a reinforced regiment or brigade. He now no longer has to worry about the placement of individual trees, doors, or windows, nor the type and quantity of artillery ammunition available, nor the attitude of local civilians. Second, we tried to eliminate features that slowed down the game or led to bad feeling among the players. Artillery sticks, burst circles, and canister swaths have been replaced by die rolls. Movement has gone to counter move, a la CLS1, eliminating map marking except for hidden units, and legalizing some responsive moves, making them a legitimate tactic instead of a cheat. Third, we've tried to kill all the lawyers. Oh no! I hope that doesn't get me in trouble on YouTube. I'm reading this, so that's a quote. It's not me saying that. Anyway, certain quote tricks not intended by the rules were not forbidden and came to constitute good CLS tactics. Purchase of spare gunners, multiple morale groups in a house, and the CE shuffle as multiple combat effectiveness groups were formed from larger ones. We've tried to eliminate these without complicating the game. Often only a single line of text was needed, and in one notorious case, a single word. But this is not the point. The game is the point. Here on these tabletops, the classic tactics of horse and musket live again. So we say, those who came before us, to arms. For the less rhetorically minded, CLS is a 1 in 20 tactic war game, like its spiritual descendants in the Grand Manner and General Day Brigade. Aha! So this is kind of the bridge to current rules because General d'Armée is one of the big Napoleonic games now, and a lot of other kind of horse and musket rules come from General Day Brigade. Infantry maneuver by battalion. Infantry maneuver by battalion are based by company or platoon, cavalry by regiment or squadron are based by troop, and artillery by battery are represented by gun, and a limber stand details are in the basic organization appendix. Distances in the rules are for large 25 millimeter or 30 millimeter castings, so 28 millimeter today, of course, and amount to a ground scale of 1 inch equals 10 yards along the front, with some compression of scales as one moves toward the baseline. Casualties are notoriously severe, column, line, and slaughter, to reflect not just the physically killed and wounded, but the equally large number of men who left the ranks unwounded in the course of a hard-fought action. Here we have the order operations. So I'm not going to go through this version of the rules in detail. I may do a follow-up video looking through these, but I guess just to close, I would kind of maybe some reflections just by flipping through these. It's pretty interesting to read these, I think, and like I said, maybe I'll want to do a follow-up video if I can talk to some of the guys that actually played this to see, what's written in the rules versus like how did they actually play it. What were some of the problems, because the CLS3 PDF definitely brings that up directly, problems with the rules. So yeah, I do think it is interesting though that a lot of the core mechanics have not changed all that much in terms of how to run a Napoleonic, or more broadly, of course, a musket type war game. I think, but I can see why people even back then would find some of these rules kind of cumbersome, and some of the wording and kind of the language is a little dense. It looks like so, but I don't want to make this go on too much longer. It's almost 40 minute video. So if you found this interesting, thanks for watching, and maybe I can follow up and do more on this. Um, and maybe do a little bit of research on the authors if there's anything publicly available information about them. So thanks for watching, and I will talk to you all in the next video.